to another episode of this blend where we decode the art of building sustainable businesses in a world that doesn't stop moving. Listeners, today's guest is Ashley Campos. Let me share a bit about her. She is the co founder of Global Connect Solutions and also part of the strategic leadership team at Deliver without the E. She's a powerhouse behind scaling virtual support team for industries like food service, catering, and logistics, sectors where speed is so essential and backend chaos is a constant threat. But here's the twist, listeners. Ashley is also a mother. And in today's conversation, we are unpacking a powerful myth. You're not choosing between being a CEO and being a mom. We are diving deep into what integrated leadership looks like, how to scale a business without sacrificing your sanity, and why the narrative of either or is long overdue for a rewrite. So, if you are building, parenting, leading, or all three together, this episode is your permission to stop apologizing and start optimizing. Let's get into it. So, Ashley, welcome to the show, and I'm super honored to have you here with us.
Yeah, thank you for having me. This is great. I'm so excited to talk about such a impactful topic for 50% of the world, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So, uh, actually, you say it's not about choosing between the two roles, being a CEO and then being a mother. But what was that moment that you stopped believing that you had to choose? Some kind of epiphany or an interesting event that made you to think like this?
Yeah, I think that, as children grow up and as time moves on, time is the most important thing that we have. And we only have a certain amount of time with our children as
Mhm.
little kids or teenagers. And and I'm a workaholic. So I know that that can take a lot of my time. And I know that one day I was so busy on the phone with a client and at one of my little kid's soccer game. And he ended up making a call or making a goal, and I was on a call, and it just really upset me that I wasn't separating those times like I should. The call that I was on and looking at my phone about whatever that issue was at that moment, I don't even remember what it was, and it wasn't as important as that moment of in my kid's life of making their soccer goal when like 5 or 6 years old. It's super exciting for them, and I didn't see it. So, that was kind of that, "Okay, let's pause and let's rework this and see how we could make it better."
Yeah, it can be really terrible because later when you start to introspect, it's really a terrible feeling that you had to lose out on all those important moments or events that happened in your children's lives. And we know how fast they grow up and that's really a terrible
Yes.
feeling. I can definitely connect with that, although I haven't yet the opportunity to enjoy the bliss of parenthood, but I can still definitely connect.
Yes.
So, Ashley, and among founders, especially women founders, especially who are parenting, they feel like they need to compartmentalize their ambition. Was was there a turning point, when that integration became non-negotiable for you?
Know if there was I would be amiss to say that I still don't struggle with being a parent and being a CEO and doing all the things that I do on a monthly basis, but it's definitely gotten better. And I think one great thing as my kids have gotten older, and even when they were on the younger side, is also to help them to learn about the thing that you love, which is your business and growing a business and how important it is. And teaching them lessons along the way and kind of integrating them into that part of your life. A lot of us are lucky enough where we work from home, and whether the kids are there in the afternoon and they can help or during the day if they were school kids and, school aged or not going to school, I should say. And, just even helping shredding some paper or giving them something to work on and just kind of integrating everything. But
Uh,
I I do think as a woman, and I am, I would say, more traditional in our family structure of being I like to cook and I like to be with the kids and I want to have a kick butt career and I want to have it all. So it is a tough balance for sure. And it's always something to think about.
it is. It is. I mean, I would love to know how you manage that because I mean, it can be really, really such a slippery slope in there, especially because you want to balance both the ends. Do you think, Ashley, that it is possible to balance, or it can be messy, but then you also need that super sharp focus? If you're cooking, then you are cooking. If you're working, you are just working. I mean, how exactly do you harmonize everything?
I think that it is possible to balance, but you're not always balancing everything the same all the time. There will be nights when I'm not with my kids because I do need to get something done or there is an important deadline that I need to meet. And they understand that and they appreciate it. And will now, as they're older, my eldest is 15 and my youngest is 10. They appreciate it or ask, "What's going on, mom? What's on with your life?" And then there are times where we take an extra vacation or I get to pull them somewhere out or I'm a parent, I believe in like I'm a parent that believes in making memories. So if their grades are good and I pull them out a day for school to do something special with them, I'm okay with that because I do think that as in that soccer goal that I missed, memories stay with you forever, but that one meeting that you didn't go to, will it really, really matter in a year from now? Maybe not. But I bet you that day that you took and did a city trip with your kid just to walk around and go have lunch, they'll remember that. And so will you for a long time. So while it might not always be balanced every day, there's moments and making sure that it balances out in the long run as I think is important. And also giving yourself grace. My God, we're so hard on ourselves that if it wasn't perfect today, then you're doing a bad job, but you're not.
Yeah, that is so true. That is so true. It's really great that you brought that into this conversation because especially with women, we are so judgmental about ourselves. We always keep on apologizing, saying sorry to others. I couldn't do that. I couldn't do this. That is so important to give yourself grace and having that sense of self compassion. Um, and because you cannot pour from an empty vessel. That's what I have learned from so many conversations. And Ashley, you mentioned that you're a workaholic, and that too in the food and restaurant business and the logistics. These are operation heavy industries, businesses. And scaling in these industries can be notoriously unforgiving. So,
Mm.
how do you build high performing teams that actually reduce burnout, especially when you are also managing life at home? Like, do you try to create analogies between, situations or circumstances at home, and then you try to bring out creative methods the way, because there are so many similarities between parenting and leadership.
Yes, there are. I was just talking about that the other day. Even in like negotiations or the way people talk to each other, I feel like sometimes I have those same conversations with my kids of how like let's see how you get what you want from your teacher versus let's see how you solve that problem with your coworker. It's kind of the same. Yeah, you're right. There's a lot of similarities.
Mm.
But like pulling out those high performing teams and scaling. Scaling is something that's taken me a long time and my background to grow and to be the CEO and founder of Global Connect Solutions resulted from that need to scale those soccer games, those times when I was burnt out and I read a book called Tim Ferriss's 4 Hour Work Week. And in that book, he talks about getting virtual assistants. And I said, well, this is great. This is something I could use. But on the other side of me, I'm very type A and controlling, and I want to know how everything is working, especially as you're growing a business, that it was hard for me to give up that control. But I found a VA that worked for me, and it was life changing. I was able to give away those things that were on the bottom of my to do list that never seemed to get done, but always kept me up thinking about the fact that I needed to do them. And, I started talking to other people, networking with others at events and, just kind of having casual conversations and talking about VAs and how great it's been. And people started asking me if I could do and help them with their VA. And this is how the Global Connect brand got its roots, was in helping other entrepreneurs. And we've scaled to over 100 people, 100 assistants, whether it's executive assistants or marketing. But having those people that are available to help you, even if it's just part time for a few hours a week as you're getting started, is so important. And not thinking that you have to do it all, but being able to give it away, whether it's to a virtual assistant or a part time person that comes and helps you in your office or whatever it is. I fully believe in kind of staffing for the sales that you want or for the business that you want and not that you have currently, as long as it's affordable and within reason. Because if you're only staffing for what you have now, you have no leeway to grow. And then you also increase that chance of burnout amongst yourself and all of the other people working with you.
Mm. Well, that definitely makes sense. And you absolutely very rightly put the need for outsourcing because uh and the biggest myth, because you absolutely mentioned it very correctly, that as a founder or an entrepreneur, we often think that by outsourcing we could lose that control within our hands. The work we are doing ourselves may not be done in the perfect way by someone else. So that's one of the biggest myths. That's what I also agree. And secondly, especially with virtual outsourcing or virtual assistants, what do you think leaders get wrong, when they hear virtual word or virtual team or outsourced support?
No, that's a great question. And I fought against it myself even for a long time. Even when I had like a company that was doing all of these things for me, like I started with the customer service aspect of it. It was hard for me to get my own executive assistant because of the same thing that you said. Like nobody can do it as well as I can. Um, so what do I think that CEOs and people in general think when they hear those words? I think they think low talent, or I think they think um, call center, or like maybe like a scammy company that's calling you to get a new warranty on your house or something like that. It's not. It's so much more high level. You have to find the right company to work with and who has the same like shared goals and beliefs as you. But God, there's so many talented people out there, and you just open up your world to so many new people and ideas when you look beyond the city that your business is located in. And we have people that have very high degrees that work for us and like what they're doing because it also provides them a little flexibility sometimes within their workspace of maybe they don't have to go and take that commute to the office job that's an hour outside of their city, depending on who you're working with. But it's great. And you said something earlier about how do we give up that control when we want to know that it's going to be done 100% like you would do it?
Yeah.
I think it starts with being okay that 90% might be good enough if that means that you can focus your time on something else. And that was a lesson that I had to learn. Does it need to be done 100% like I did? Does a period have to be there, or does the spacing of that, like the size of that, need to be just right or whatever it is? No. Nobody's going to notice besides you. And if it's 80 or 90%, but it frees up 2 hours for you to do something on other revenue generating work or other higher level work, my
Mhm.
God, taking it at 80% is much better than having it at 100.
No, that's right. That's right. Because that 10% time that or the time that you get, as a founder, as your availability, you can have so many creative ideas, because as a founder or as an entrepreneur itself, it speaks about how creative you are, because you are trying to understand the pain, you're trying to build a solution for people out there. So it itself says that you are creative. And when you are free, when you know that you have a team um, who is aligned, and they can help you, and you get that time free, you can build so many creative ideas. And
Absolutely.
absolutely seen, personally speaking about myself or my co-host and partner Avik. So we all completely believe in that. And Ashley, looking at your entire journey, um, and working as a CEO and then being a mom, how do you personally define success now? And how has that changed from when you first launched? In fact, you first even thought about launching Global Connect Solutions, or the first, time that idea of being a CEO came to your mind.
Yeah, so success can be measured in so many different ways. Obviously, growth from a revenue perspective, defines success. But in addition to that, because we're all in business, we're all in business to grow from that revenue and profitability standpoint. But I think success looks like to me is making sure that either the clients that we're working with or the employees that we have are happy and growing themselves. And if our clients aren't growing, it might mean that we're not doing something right or we're not set up in the right way. And if our employees aren't growing into new positions or just in learning new things and being excited about coming to work every day and excited about the client that they're working with, that's not success to me. So I think kind of pairing all of those things together is what defines it. And I would even say the latter too is what actually drives the revenue to go forward. So I think it just starts with the people you're working with and the people that you're working for, and making sure those people are happy and thriving, and then everything else will fall into place.
Mm, that makes sense. That makes sense. And I'm not sure whether it's true or not, but this is what I have observed, that sometimes, especially with the mompreneurs, um, there's a kind of a sense of or a fear of having to lose out on opportunities, because the people whom you want to work with, they might think, okay, she's a mother, she may not be available at all the times, so it's not, doesn't make sense, practically in the business terms, doesn't make sense to work. And that's kind of fear, so many mompreneurs, so many women entrepreneurs, they may have that. What's your take on this, Ashley?
Yeah, I think, I mean, mompreneurs, dadpreneurs, I guess typically that dads get a little bit more leeway with the family than moms do in the traditional sense. But yeah, I might not always be available, but I know that as long in my perspective of anybody that I'm working with, mom, dad, aunt, uncle, as long as you're getting the things that you need to get done, doesn't matter to me if you do them at 11, if you have to run and go to a dentist appointment, or if you do them at 7 p.m. or 9 p.m. when the kids are in bed. Honestly, some of my best work, I love to sit down at the end of a day of meetings and I get my deep work done sometimes at night with a glass of wine, sitting on the couch while things are quiet, whether and quiet might be my calendar or my Slack or my kids. And, so I think there's just different times, and being open to people working in a way that fits with them is the best thing that we can do to help people thrive in
Mm,
general.
right. That's right. That's right. And I completely connect with you on that, because especially I'm also, I that's my, highest, some of the highest productivity hours hours when my phone isn't buzzing and I'm completely super laser focused on whatever I want to do. So, with that, Ashley, as we have come to the end of the conversation, if our listeners they would like to connect with you, explore more about global connect solutions and the wonders of having VAs and outsourcing, what will be the best way to do that?
Yeah, they can check out our website at gcshelps.com.
Lovely. I'll make sure to have the link and details in the show notes. And thank you so much, Ashley. This was certainly a real grounded conversation. And
Same here.
yeah, and this conversation, I guess, it can serve as a great reminder that scaling a business and nurturing a family, they aren't conflicting goals. They are parallel paths that demand grace, structure, and bold honesty as well. So, with that, to all the listeners, if you are building something big and raising someone even bigger, this episode is your sign that you're not crazy. You are just courageous. Be sure to check out GCC Global Connect Solutions. And especially if you're in the food, service, or logistics, or you just need smarter support for your growing business. Until next time, this is Biz Blend, where leadership and life come together. Thank you.